Welcome to the Peak Performance and Peak Satisfaction podcast with Master Executive Coach Sherry Gregoff. Sherry helps business people perform better, get rewarded handsomely, and actually enjoy their work. After having her own career turnaround, she now helps other high-powered business professionals experience the same. Join the movement to work differently.
Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. When evaluating our work success and comparing our career path to others, we can get laser focused on compensation because it's measurable and easily observable. There is so much more than that salary or incentive compensation when it comes to maximizing our wealth and finding satisfaction in our career success. If you find yourself working for the money, in danger of selling out for a paycheck, or wondering if you should be making a career move to earn more, this episode is for you. Before we jump in, I want to shout out one of my clients who had a win in this area. Here is the quote from him. "Now I feel more clear and content in accepting my success and my desire to stay in this current role. I'm deciding that I don't want to search for an external role based on the potential to earn more." This client was excelling in his work and enjoying it, but had the sneaking doubt that he was slacking off by not aggressively pursuing higher compensation in external roles. He wondered if he could make more money elsewhere. He wondered what he might have to give up to do so. He pondered what colleagues who left the firm saw that he didn't. He considered what he was seeing that they didn't. As we do in my coaching, we took this decision head on. We dispelled the myth that the single strategy for more success is job hopping. We critically evaluated his current position, the costs and benefits, against his priorities and needs. By tuning out others' choices and theories, he gave himself permission to recognize that the very spot he is in is the ideal one for him at this moment. This provided such incredible relief. We don't often feel brave enough to face this decision, make it, trust our judgment, and let go of the fear of making the wrong decision. This client did this with courage, and the relief from this clarity and acceptance was visible after this single hour together. We don't have to accept that we will never know if we're making the right decision. We don't have to evaluate our decisions based on other people's opinions. There is no single right role or career strategy. There is just the one that you choose, and then your ability to make it right. I help business people make decisions boldly, and then we do the mindset work and take the actions that make that decision right for them. They love their reasons for their decisions. It's a formula that works and sets us free from indecision and self-doubt that keeps us frozen and looking to numb ourselves from reality. It's available to all of us. Similar victories are shared by all of my clients, and I have experienced it too in my own career turnaround. So let's hop to today's podcast content and get you on your way to experiencing this also. When compensation is the primary indicator of the return on investment of our work effort and time, it's easy to lose sight of all the other benefits in our work. Today, we will look at our work through the lens of why we show up every day and why we decide to show up where we are now versus somewhere else. This will be a powerful way to put the paycheck in its rightful place. No more doubts about whether you are working purely for that paycheck, or waffling about whether or not you should be looking elsewhere for more money. Our culture reinforces this idea that we work just for a paycheck. Everybody's working for the weekend, waiting for the Friday paycheck to make all the suffering of the weekdays worth it. We earn a living, earn a livelihood, bring home the bacon, you know all the phrases. They can be funny and feel like they ring true, but they only reiterate this idea that work is a necessary evil to live. I am here today to tell you that I believe our work is more than that. It's not a dreaded task to avoid or suffer through. The satisfaction we get from our work, when done right, will be more valuable than the paycheck. To effectively evaluate whether we are in a role for the right reasons, let's consider the other factors and put the compensation in its rightful place. I have a mug from an old manager that reads, "I don't need this aggravation, but I do need the money." It was handed down as he retired early and walked away from all the aggravation. I invite you today to release the aggravation long before retirement. So let's start by exploring all the reasons why we show up to our work. Answer number 1 that pops up for you because of our discussion so far might be, Sherry, the paycheck. Let's keep going though, and we will come back to the topic of earnings last, number 10 on our list to be precise. Number 1, first up, what else does your work offer you beyond the dollars? To get the wheels turning, I'm going to offer up some multiple choice answers. An opportunity to use our talent and skills in a productive way. An opportunity for social interaction with people. An opportunity to advance a broader mission. An opportunity to leave our mark on the world. If you hear this and think that your current role doesn't offer this, evaluate whether it offers any aspects of this that you do enjoy. I have a client who now consistently reminds herself why she shows up to work beyond the paycheck. She loves serving their clients, building relationships, and being surrounded by brilliant colleagues in a firm that is very well resourced in terms of expertise and information to deliver for those clients. Figure out what your nutshell answer is. Maybe you don't love your coworkers. Maybe you aren't on board with your firm's corporate strategy or return to office policy, but articulate for yourself what you are on board with that has you showing back up. If what comes up for you is that it's habit, it's what you've done for a long time, then let's investigate that a little deeper. When we are in a role for some time, we start to question ourselves and whether we are staying just because it is the easy answer, inertia or status quo, a sneaky complacency that might have crept up on us. Ask yourself this and answer with radical honesty. Consider whether fear is talking you out of making a change. Consider whether you are resisting intentionally choosing the work you are in. Proceed with caution because there can be an action bias here. There can also be the influence of our peers job hopping or the norm in society to job hop. We might think something has gone wrong because everyone is job hopping and we're not. I have clients who have experienced so many job changes within a single company that they stayed because they were always learning and engaged. They didn't need to go external for the bigger paycheck or the title or the novelty of a new role. I have had this experience too. When it comes to job hopping or staying for the long haul, there is no single correct strategy here. It is unique to each career journey, so don't use it as a reason to stay or leave. We've touched on this next question, but let's go deeper now. Number 2, are we learning new things and being engaged in our work? If we are doing the same thing we did years ago with no growth or nuanced challenge, chances are we will feel bored and disengaged. Growth keeps things interesting, and rote routine does not. If you are feeling pulled towards something new, it's probably because you have stopped learning. Admittedly, we aren't always the best at this. We front-load our learning in school and then sometimes can stagnate. I have found learning to be one of those renewable energy sources for me. I love learning new skills and knowledge. It's like fueling up for me. If we are counting on our job to be the sole place for learning, and it isn't happening there, then we will feel unfulfilled. Number 3, do we love our work? When you hear this question, resist going all, not as much as I would if I was in the NFL, on me, or Broadway, or a professional potato chip taster. Do you love the content of the work that you do? Why did you pursue this line of work? What do you enjoy in your day? Do you ever get so engrossed that you lose track of time? If those moments happen and you are lost in the intellectual challenge of it all, that's not a bad thing. Pay attention to how you feel when that happens. It can be quite enjoyable, actually. Which brings us to another point, number 4. Are we excelling in our work? Do parts of it come naturally to us and feel easy? I have a client who said he feels guilty because the work comes so easy that he is able to produce beyond expectations in far less time than there is in a workday. Chances are you have found a fit for your skills if that is the case. So you can check this box that your skills seem to be a match in the role. But there's more. Number 5, are we making an impact? Is our work significant? Does it make a difference? What would happen if we disappeared tomorrow? We all want to do meaningful work that would be noticed if we vanished. Maybe you can bang out those spreadsheets or decks like no one else, but you feel like they aren't read or used to make any tangible impact, so it can be discouraging. Number 6, another question to consider is whether our career path progression is lined up ahead of us. If progression is important to you, do you see how it could take place? You may decide titles aren't really a priority for you. I will pause here and call out that I've had several clients who told me firmly they did not want that next title, only to realize that they were already operating at that level and could just give themselves and their company permission to recognize it with a promotion. So make sure you aren't talking yourself out of advancing because you think it will involve more work or compromising who you are or giving up life-work balance. If you decide this is important, consider the career paths available to you next from your current seat. Number 7, let's get into that quick mention explicitly now. Do we have the life-work balance that we want? I work with CEOs and executives who pick up and drop off their kids at school, who make every parent visit to the classroom, who cook dinner for their families daily, and go to the park after work every weekday. They are proof that we can have big-time roles and tremendous life-work balance. I start there because sometimes we rule this out as being impossible for the level of success that we want. We might see an executive in our company and firmly decide the trade-offs that person is making would simply not work for us, and we may write off advancing there at all. Evaluate your life-work balance now. If it's not what you want, how much of that is dictated to you versus standards that you apply to yourself? I recently took a client through my process of setting boundaries, and he was blown away by how every decision was his own. We complain about our work or colleagues infringing on our boundaries, when really we can decide on our own what we will and will not tolerate at any time. Finally, what life-work balance do you want? How can you create it in this role? Number 8, can we accept where we are now? If not, why not? This is a tricky one. Sometimes we will have been fighting our current reality and our current role for so long that there's no way we could accept where we are with peace. If that's the case, well, then you have your answer. I like asking the question this way because sometimes we tell ourselves this, but if we're perfectly honest, we can accept it, and that's why we show up again the next day. Ask yourself and answer honestly to see if any surprise reactions come up for you. Number 9, this next one, it's a ninja move. Do we have everything we need for today, now? Contentment with our current situation is not a sign of defeat or retreat. It actually removes the element of desperation associated with creating your next career chapter. I always say that in our careers, we should be moving towards something, not running away from something. As soon as that dynamic flips to running from something, it will be very difficult to make a move. The pressure limits our creativity and capability. If we can recognize our sufficiency in this moment, then we won't be creating our next chapter under duress. On a related note, can we enjoy where we are right now? If we were to stay in this role, in this company, in this business for a year, Could we accept it and actually enjoy it? This is a helpful question to determine the level of urgency that you are feeling, whether stated explicitly or not. This helps us combat that sense that we're always late or always behind schedule or expectation. How could this timing be fine? How important will this timing or urgency be when we look back on our entire career? Don't sweat the small stuff on the bigger picture of your career. I call it the rocker test. When you are in a rocker on a porch, sipping tea in your old age, will this situation even cross your mind? Or the timing with which things changed? Probably not. Then don't let it engulf you now. And number 10, let's talk paycheck. We covered everything but the paycheck, and now we will go there. Are we compensated well? Let's start with our perception, then consider what that perception is based on. Our personal earnings history, water cooler talk with peers, online compensation benchmarking data. Even consider it in isolation. For what the quality of our workday is like, is this level of compensation such that I would turn up again tomorrow? If you evaluate comp related to your personal history, we can get in this weird dynamic of either making a new high water mark or trying to climb back to your last high water mark. Keeping perspective on volatile compensation figures can save us a lot of headache. Here's how we do it. We don't spend based on our high water mark. This is when we start to feel pressure to earn at that level to maintain a certain lifestyle. This makes us desperate and grouchy. It's not really about the paycheck here. It's about our consumption patterns. If you don't like feeling tight on money, stop spending so much of it. It might be time to temper your caviar taste. Beware also entitlement to your high water mark. So the business and you had a great year. That is great news. When it haunts you for years to come, when business results tempered, that is not so useful. Compensation is often volatile because there are multiple inputs. First, what about our compensation is in our control? Our individual performance and contribution to team success. Consider, what are we contributing? How are we being rated on our work? The fears here are usually that we will be terminated suddenly without cause, or that we take a role and can't deliver. How probable is this really? Remember that an unexpected restructure and layoff usually funds the search for your next opportunity. You will always have your resume, degrees, experience, skills, and expertise. They cannot be taken away from you. There's no logic to thinking you could never find a similar job again. Maybe the location, title, or compensation might differ, but there is always work for us to find. When it's not the case, it's usually because we've narrowed our requirements on work that we are willing to do. If push came to shove, we would do an awful lot to put food on the table. What can we do to be more valuable, create more value, and earn more value in return? And don't answer, work 24/7, or be responsive within 5 minutes of all requests. The only success we aim for around here is the sustainable kind that applies across all areas of work and life, not the kind that makes us hate ourselves and regret how we lived our life. Maybe it's building marketable skills that help us to create more value in this role and any future roles. Next, in terms of factors contributing to our compensation, is department success, how our group is doing within the larger business. This one can be largely out of our control. How did everyone do, and how did we compare against other departments? Of course, this is not necessarily something our daily work will correlate to, but its impact on our comp is very real. Then there's firm success. All it takes is a bad earnings call, missed expectations, and it's a hit to the value of our equity and our compensation. Outcomes at this level are typically far away from the individual's performance. We are in many ways a taker of these terms. If we don't like them, we choose a different firm that we think will be more successful and reward their people more. the economy. Then we've got the economy at large. At the time of this recording, we have been humbly reminded how sentiment-driven things can be and how delicate the balance is also. Surprise! We can't individually steer what happens with the economy, but it will impact us and our customers. Lastly, shifting client patterns. While we can't control this, we can anticipate and adapt. The level to which we do this may directly influence the pool of compensation available to the group. With all these inputs to our compensation that are outside of our control, it seems prudent not to count on variable compensation being static or on a steady trajectory. Compensation is variable, so we plan accordingly. This goes for my business owners as well. Entitlement to our high-water mark impacts us all. There is no guarantee that future revenue will be at or higher than the current level. As business owners, we are not entitled to that, nor is it prudent to assume that will be the case. There will be big years and then dips. Depending on the stage of a business, compensation can become an exercise of allocating dollars, a zero-sum game. We start to see it as a fixed pie that we decide how to allocate out to departments and individuals. There's the squeaky wheels and the areas that are most crucial to retain. Just remember, as leaders in this process, that we can grow the pie. We can bring in more clients, more revenue. We can build efficiencies and improve margins. This can create more compensation for everyone involved. So it's important to always have that lever and know how to pull it by creating more net value. Now that we have recognized all the value we get from our work beyond the paycheck, we have a set of dimensions to evaluate whether we are working just for a paycheck in a particular role, whether we are selling out and being miserable for the money, or whether we want to explore other roles to benchmark not only our compensation, but all the value factors in our job, including life-work balance, significance of impact, and beyond. A final and important note on this topic. Have you ever seen someone who earned handsomely but hated their work? We can take on this role of martyrdom, of working to provide a better life for our family, for example. As grown adults, who once lived with adults who provided for us, consider that perspective on the topic. Is it more valuable to enjoy your work or to earn well? Is it more valuable to be home for dinner or earn well? Are extravagant vacations less important when the 280 working days in a year don't leave you wanting to escape 365 days of the year? My coach says all the time that she learned firsthand that emotional health is more important and more valuable than financial wealth, material things, or physical experiences. This is such a countercultural notion, and it is one that I embrace wholeheartedly. The size of the paycheck doesn't matter if I can't be home when my kids are home from school. The size of the paycheck doesn't matter if I walk around hunched over, clasping a mobile device to be available 24/7 and found catching up on work in the wee hours. The size of the paycheck doesn't matter if I complain about my work all the time to everyone I know. The size of the paycheck doesn't matter if I need alcohol or food or shopping or entertainment to forget my reality. The size of the paycheck doesn't matter if I am doing work in an organization that is net negative to this world and the people in it. Our work is about more than a paycheck. It's most of our waking hours. We get to decide the trade-offs that we are willing to tolerate. We decide why we show up and why we look elsewhere. I help business people break out of the cycles and routines that have them chasing the dollar in their career and their business. We don't work for money. We put our money to work for us. We don't earn a living. We are valuable as is. This generational and societal baggage around earning doesn't mean much in the end. The impact of your work on other people means everything. This includes your colleagues and clients and also your family, friends, and community. As business professionals, we are more than a paycheck. We are more than our earning potential. Let's work and live like it, starting right now. Until next time.
Looking for support in applying the principles and strategies in today's episode? Sherry coaches clients one-on-one as their trusted confidant and advisor, helping each client create the work and life they had only dreamed of. To schedule your complimentary career strategy session, go to sherrygregoff.com/apply to book time with her today. It's one simple step that can change everything.